Plenty of room on the rug up here if you want to come and take a seat, kick back. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. Thanks to Anna and Max. Yeah, it was lovely. Thanks, Anna and Max, for those beautiful stories. I've been watching The Bush Tucker Man on my mate Finn's recommendation. He told me to watch an episode when I'm feeling sad and uninspired, and it'll surely get me feeling excited again. It has done wonders for getting me back on my feet this weekend. Something I noticed is that even when Aboriginal people are demonstrating traditional bush tucker and ways of living on country, much of it is spoken about in the past tense. And there's often talk of how much the old ways are lost, how they wouldn't be able to go back to them now. That's part and parcel of the colonial project here and overseas, I guess, to get people dispossessed of their land, culture, language, knowledge systems and spiritual beliefs, to separate families, to prevent any chance of true return once lost. Even the missionaries in their misguided and supposedly well-meaning way played a big part in all that. Watching the news, you can see how Israel is trying to control the story as history is being created before our very eyes. Our government seem to defer to the nearest coloniser. They wouldn't want to get too critical lest our own right to this place be examined under similar scrutiny. To break the spirit of a people, to drive them off their land, which they have such a profound spiritual, cultural and emotional connection to. It is the source of Palestinian life, their olive groves maintained by families for generations, with trees living for hundreds of years, sometimes even longer. The Palestinian Olive Oil Council claim that the oldest olive tree in the world is in Jerusalem's southern hills, in the village of Al-Walaja. They estimate its age at over 5,500 years. That's a long time to love your land. It is why Israeli settlers tear out the olive groves with bulldozers. The trees are a living symbol, living proof of these people's ancient connection to the land. May these beautiful grandmother olive trees live on, like the unbreakable spirit of First Nations around the globe. I'd like to give thanks to be here tonight in this place that I love, on ancient Wurundjeri country, where sovereignty was never ceded. This first one's called Sewage. Piss on the lemon tree. Don't buy fertilizer. At the special needs school, while I'm on yard duty, kids will sometimes piss in the playground. Going by the book, I'll advise them to do it inside. But internally I think, go for it kid, toilets are barbaric anyway. And why is there a toilet inside the house? Why is it so near the kitchen, near the bathroom, near the bedroom? At my old squat in Fairfield, pulling away overgrown kikuyu and creepers from the back fence, we uncovered an old garden gate, decaying wood with rusted iron hinges, long disused, giving access to an alleyway out back where a night soil cart once trundled. For a man to open a hatch and slide a bucket from a thunderbox when everybody had gone to bed. People would wipe with newspaper, read the funny pages, spy the yard through holes in the wall where a knot of wood had dropped out of the plank. And many ghost stories would be conjured by older brothers and sisters, children wandering out there at night to do their business, fear of redbacks and huntsmen. Now we don't have to look at our waste at all piped away, just gone, unmentionable. 3 to 6 litres of prime Yarra Valley water with every flush. Superior to the drinking water of Brisbane, which tastes and smells like it was drained from the paddling pools at MSAC. It goes out to any Brisbaneans out there. In year 9 we had a class called Alpha Al, Learning for Living. One day we went on excursion to the Mount Martha sewage treatment plant. Show us where things go, how things work in the real world. The hidden machines of civilization at work, keeping all the things we take for granted running without a hitch. I think the lesson was meant to be cautionary. Study hard or you end up a shit shoveler like these blokes. I love the place. The big undercover area with like an aircraft hangar. Something looked old world about it. Dim in all the right ways. Matrix of pipes. Factory sounds echoing. Huge vats of anaerobic brown water. If you fell in, you'd sink like a stone. No buoyancy due to a lack of oxygen. You'd drown in septic. There were pipes along the gantry that we walked, with transparent observation windows. They displayed the contents of what was flowing through the place. The intimate details of a stranger's life, a stranger's last meal. We wore comfy overalls. The night soil cart no longer trundles down bluestone alleyways to collect our waste. The lanes have become medieval once more, a place of human refuse, of stale urine and discarded nangs. Hieroglyph tags cover the patchwork of corrugated iron fences, remnant of a world that disappears more and more. I've been trying out a hypnosis meditation for my guts. They've hurt for years. My guts aren't happy with what's gone down. My guts aren't happy with the way I feel. Things I drag around. The foods I can't eat. I'm trying to find a path back into my own body. But a lot of the things in there don't want to come out. My dad would eat a lot. I remember I was embarrassed about how big he was, knowing the cruel minds of other children who find things to pick on. Cruelty I would witness in the playground. Cruelty I would witness inside my own head. I was worried for Dad. I didn't want him to be in places where kids might be because they might tease him. Especially given that he would stride along the beach in black Speedos, seemingly without a care in the world. I couldn't understand how he could be so unprepared for the meanness that might be thrown his way. When he was a young man, he had sustained a back injury while under the employ of hard old Italian concreters. Because of how top-heavy he was unsteady on his feet, and I remember him falling over a few times when I was a kid. I felt protective of him. But when he'd dive into a swimming pool, I'd watch his body glide gracefully through the water, like a great manta ray as it surveys the seabed. The surface agitated by the splash, making the blue tiles a squiggly graph. During our long family trips, we'd turn off the highway at dusk, down an unmarked dirt track to get away from the road train noise. You could see them in the distance like carnival rides going all night. Dad would lumber off into the dark for the evening dump. His only moment of solitude in these days of wheel rumble and kids in the backseat jabbing each other, squishing flies into the window. Ever-ready torch casting a coin of orange light on his path. I could not see his chest or face. I could only see his blue jeans, his blunnies, and his long-handled spade with a bog roll slid down the shaft. Pale moth in elliptical orbit. Spinifex illuminated. Spinifex in silhouette. It was around the time when Peter Falconio went missing in a similar part of the outback. You could usually feel safe being so isolated, but not during that period. We'd be up in the bunk bed with our Jayco Swan camper. One of Dad's favourite gags would be to reach up through the canvas with his huge hands and grab at our legs, sending us squealing with terror and delight, having anticipated that he'd do this every few nights upon his return from the bush dump. This next one's called Birrarung. It's 5:55 anti-meridian, Friday morning, Eastern Standard Time, and I'm half awake in the dark. I hear Fletch in the kitchen, His plan was to have moved out and left by last night, driving up north in his truck, going to the NT for work. Then across the WA to see his estranged father who might not be long for this world. Fletcher's been working all night in the garage, bolting things onto the bull bar. I hear the stovetop percolator, its rising gurgle. It is faulty and notorious for taking 5 minutes on full boil before it laboriously pushes up coffee gone bitter. Shufflings of food preparation. He makes it sound like a mission. Intermittently, I hear a large Saxa salt shaker, keeping steady rhythm. I assume he's salting large slabs of tahini toast. His new medication requires him to up his salt intake. I hear the shaker starting again for a brief run, pausing to contemplate, then recommencing with an air of decision. There's not heaps of salt left in the shaker. This sound mingled with the crickets chirping under the grass in the balmy pre-dawn gloom. Maybe this is what it would sound and feel like to be in Cuba. Humidity touches you all over. It feels intimate. I've been trying to touch my body, trying to find a home in it. Felt out of place in it so long. Even lightly touching my arm gets me thinking about things I miss in other people. So I've existed upstairs, lacking senses. It's people breaking up and shacking up again for comfort, sleeping in cars, bodies awash in the morning sun, reaching for how it once felt, feeling confused in the pale light of day. I was thinking about the Birrarung. The Birrarung, zigzagging its way across the landscape. Great serpent, a living entity, a body of water. Its feelings lie beyond a gap we cannot bridge, through a seam between hills, gullies and beds eroded by time. River of mist and shadows penetrate the city, flowing past the sexy billboards where there is no love. Far-flung outpost of a fading empire, trying to bury the old ways. We're descendants of colonial exiles who are trying to remake this place in the image of a motherland that doesn't want them anymore. Based on the paintings on cork placemats, anemic paddocks squared off, the conquered naked hills, scared of the curvature of the wild uncontrollable forces of nature, of saturated mossy soaks, the gloomy primordial forest, the river was once full of life, a way to move from place to place. It used to be clear, before the factories, before the car, before the weir, the floodplains and the pregnant land, the ponds, the swamps, the billabongs filling right with water, the vast catchment for rain. where moisture can be held in soft porous earth. Later stamped hard like ooze, until so eroded that the water would sluice across instead of soaking in. A river meant to breach its banks and spread. Europeans alter the landscape, turn the waterways into irrigation canals, into open sewers, drains to dump their waste. So we brought flood with us, holy punishment for the violence and corruption we brought here. Built homes on the floodplains. When it fills, it becomes violent, stripping everything away, like holy retribution. I want to break up the roads, flood the golf course. Break up the roads, flood the golf course. I used to like floating in the bay as it rained. The way the water changes colour to aquamarine. Later on I was warned to avoid the bay when it rained because of all the dog shit coming out the stormwater drains. All the runoff from the roads, footpaths, nature strips. Poison catchments of useless water, not safe to drink, not safe to swim. When I was a kid, nauseous in the back seat as the car ducked and weaved its way past Cavington and Woods Point, east of the Yarra Ranges, where the Goulburn River is a black rippling window to the sky, finger-throbbing cold with snow melt from the Vic Alps. My parents stopped the car at Thompson Dam, Melbourne Water's largest dam, the source of half the city's drinking water. Pale stags clawing from the dark water. From above it appears like dendritic opal, like bracken leaves branching out to fill the valleys. I clambered down the granite rocks, pissed in the dam, amusing myself thinking how downstream that a bit of my piss would find its way into everyone's shower, everyone's kitchen and sink and drink bottle. Thanks so much. Thanks, Connie and Sarah and Kane for jumping on very last minute.